The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his name, and I mean no disrespect if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but again, I'm not French. So, before we start, I might spit out a few spoilers, so for those of you who haven't read this book, I apologize in advance. And I don't mean, if I said anything, if I didn't pronounce Mr. Saint-Exupéry's name correctly, then I apologize because I can't memorize how to pronounce it. So, this book, I have to admit, I've read better books. The Little Prince is not the best book I've ever read, and this book, maybe what spoiled it for me is that I made the mistake of watching the movie before I read the book. I actually just found out that we had this book in our house a few days ago, so I watched the movie first, which turned out to be a great mistake because in the movie, they don't even have names. It's just the Little Prince, the aviator, the little girl's mom, the little girl. So really, and that little girl, she's always reading the story that the aviator sends to her. So I thought that it would be really, really intriguing to read what she was actually reading. So let's admit, the book does not match up with the movie, which was somewhat a disappointment to me, but life's life. So, The Little Prince, the summary is the pilot crash lands in the desert. And then he meets this little boy, also known as the Little Prince, who tells the aviator all about these adventures and blah blah blah. And then finally the Little Prince is killed by a rattlesnake. So, the one thing I really, really liked about this book was the beginning. So, a boa constrictor, it's a true fact. When a boa constrictor eats its prey, it swallows its prey whole. So, the hat, I think it's really clever how they realized that a hat could also be seen, if you look closely, as a boa constrictor that ate an elephant, because it actually works quite a bit. So, The Little Prince, one of the few things I don't like is this little part in the beginning, which says soon to be a major motion picture. I really wish that they wouldn't put these stickers on books because, yeah, it's great that it's going to be turned into a movie, but do we really need to put plaster stickers on books when the movie came out who knows how long ago? So, The Little Prince, to be honest, it has no logic in it. According to the book, the Little Prince lives on a meteorite. But, 1, how can he breathe in space? 2, how is he traveling? We know that he had these balloons, but really, in space, there's no gravity. So what did the balloons even do? And why are there some things just don't make sense about this? Like the king who thinks that he's the king of the entire world when he's the only living inhabitant on the planet. The businessman who thinks he owns the stars. Some of this just doesn't make sense. And I have read much better books. I, to be honest, would not recommend this book for... It's sort of a book that you just read for no reason in particular, and I wouldn't say that you should read it at a young age because most of the facts in it, other than the boa constrictor elephant thing, most of it's false. I mean, it's all make-believe, and really, I don't think that, from what I know, little boys don't live on meteorites. They don't have roses that grow on meteorites. And that's all I'm going to say about this. And this, I just wouldn't recommend it for ages. I guess you could read it at any age, really. It's not really violent or anything, and the Little Prince's death is not really as brutal as most deaths, but it's just not my favorite book. I don't mean any disrespect saying that, but just not my very favorite. So, this, I would honestly give it a 2.5 stars out of 5 because it's only like 80, 83, 82 pages long, and it's just about this little kid telling this pilot all about this and that, and for whatever reason at the end they're just talking about what the little prince has been through, and then the little prince just dies. So this wouldn't be the best book I've ever read, and there are definitely some adjustments you can make to make this book way better. And I'm also wondering, one more question, how does the little prince talk to animals? His friend the fox, and how's the rose petal speaking? How is the rose and the fox speaking to the prince? It makes no sense. And the fox is saying, hey, if you tame me, then we'll need each other. If you don't tame me, we'll be fine without each other. So some of it just makes no sense whatsoever and has no logic in it. And that's Little Prince. Au revoir.